Tonight we are talking about the elephants in the room at the state capitol. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says he will go for another income tax cut next session, and he's more confident than ever. He has multiple reasons to be confident. If the way things are going today don't change between now and legislative session starting in February. We're going through those reasons tonight. Despite calling for one, there was not an income tax cut this year. The Oklahoma House joined with the governor in offering up one. However, there was resistance in the state Senate. You did get a tax cut this year that was popular in both chambers and with both parties. Not in an income tax cut, but the state's portion of the grocery sales tax is now gone. The state will not collect, nor will it have, about $418 million in revenue that was coming in through that tax. The governor and the House believe there was more money to, quote, give back to taxpayers, but the state Senate, on the other hand, said it wanted to see how the grocery sales tax repeal would play out and impact the budget as a whole before more cuts were made. The difference between the House and the governor and the state Senate led to what was called the Budget Summit, a multi-day meeting in the governor's office that played out on TV for all of us to watch. They went page by page, and at the end of it, the Senate was still not willing to cut taxes, saying some of the extra revenue the governor and the House was saying was going to be there was actually needed to be given to state agencies to deal with inflation. And this year's income tax cut idea was dropped. But between the Budget Summit and now, something crazy happened. Some Senate Republican incumbents, who the governor says helped resist the income tax cut, lost re-election to other Republicans who ran saying they would help Stitt. Here's a look at the makeup of the upper chamber right now. It's not really expected to change much this November. But as we've looked at this on the program, not all of the Republicans are exactly the same in the state Senate. These seats remained in Republican hands, the ones we're highlighting for you, but now they're occupied by more pro-income tax cut Republicans who are more in line with Stitt. I asked the governor about these changes. It was no secret you were going to go for a tax cut next session, but I think no one was expecting the reinforcements you now have, especially in the state Senate. What is your reaction to some of these incumbents being gone? And are you more confident that you can, government's never easy, but maybe an easier path to get that tax cut next time around?
You know, very optimistic. I knew Oklahomans agreed with me that they believe in limited government and let's not keep growing government. How big should government be? I've invested more in education in my first 5 years than they did for 25 years before I got here. So I'm not saying we're going to cut things, but when I get the economy booming, and I'm the businessman governor, and we've got our economy booming right now, what do we do with the excess? Well, we give it back to the taxpayer. And with inflation harming Oklahomans, that's why I was so excited to get rid of the grocery tax. I've already cut taxes once. I've cut business taxes. That is always behind the scenes. People need to understand that we're going to become the most business-friendly state, and we've got to keep lowering that taxes as revenues goes up. And let's modestly grow government. It may be like the population growth plus inflation. But let's not have these wild swings, because that'll put us in a bad situation. If we keep growing government and there is a downturn, that's going to hurt us just as bad. And I want to also remind Oklahomans, I'm never going to put us in a bad situation. We have the largest savings account we've ever had, which is close to $5 billion. So we can weather any economic downturns, and that's why I have that nest egg there for us. But now it's time to give money back to the taxpayer.
Senate Pro Tem Greg Treat, who would not budge on an income tax cut this year, wanting to see how the grocery sales tax cut was going to play out, was already term limited. But as part of those election changes we've talked about, the senator supposed to succeed him did not win re-election. Senate Majority Leader Greg McCourtney lost the GOP primary for his race by a very close margin. Senators held a new leadership election in July, and now State Senator Lonnie Paxton is the new pro tem designee. I had him on the program last month to ask him about his thoughts on an income tax cut next year. So if you had been in charge of the chamber, because Governor Stitt's looking for a tax cut next time around, let's say you've been in charge of this chamber this past session, was it appropriate, the Senate's position, to not have an income tax cut this time around?
I think so. We were waiting until last year until we kind of saw what the budget numbers, how much money we would have to work with. As soon as we saw the final equalization numbers come in February, we decided that we agreed that we needed to have a tax cut. It was only, the discussion was which tax cut was it. So I've always kind of agreed with the governor on the income tax cut and that was necessary, but I kind of changed my tune this year when we started looking at the inflation and looking at the fact that a 0.25% income tax cut for a family of 4 or 5 people where the mom and dad are modest income, that's not that big of a deal. But the grocery sales tax cut was a much bigger deal to that, say, younger family. And so that's kind of why I switched this year to the grocery tax cut, because I think it really will help those people who need it the most.
Is the door open for an income tax cut next session?
It is, and I'm sure we're going to have the discussion. I've already spoke with the governor, and he is still, he would like to have that income tax cut, and I think we would as well. We want to see the numbers and see what we can do. But yes, it is definitely on the table, and I am sure that we will be having the discussion.